back to the annual auction videos, and today we're going to be looking at some fun, wacky science demonstrations. And we're going to be looking specifically at this really special substance called dry ice. This is solid carbon dioxide, or CO2 we can call it. And the reason why I have to handle it with gloves is it's really, really cold. So imagine going outside on a really cold winter day. The coldest it'll get, especially in Ohio, is probably around -5, right? That's the coldest temperatures I've ever seen. But this piece of ice right here is -108 degrees Fahrenheit. That's super, super cold. And so if we touch it with our bare hands, we can get frostbite. So it's a little dangerous, but we can still do some really cool stuff. Just like we're seeing in these beakers here, all the cool cloud foams and everything, right? It's super fun. So we're going to be learning a little bit about dry ice. And the reason why when we stick it in water and it makes all these cool gas clouds, right, is because it's called sublimation, subliming. And that's what happens when a solid jumps right to its gas. You don't really see that liquid. We'll do a little experiment and we'll actually make it in its liquid form. But we don't see it too often. That's because of some special properties in the dry ice. But let's see, we're gonna make some fun snow. Special for winter coming up here soon. We'll get us ready for it. We'll stick some CO2 right in here, dry ice. Stick this little lid on here, and the reason why we put it in this special beaker, it's really, really thick. We're gonna shake it up, and this is gonna create some pressure in here. And as it starts to melt, it's going to build up this pressure, and in a few minutes it should hopefully turn into our, oh, we have a little leak, don't want that to happen. Hopefully turn into our liquid CO2 here. So this is the rarest one. We don't see it too often, and it has to be contained in these really special pressurized vials. Here we go. We have some liquid starting to form. And then when we open up the top, it'll turn into like the snow mixture here because all of that pressure is being released and it's being shot up through that liquid CO2, and we're gonna turn it back into a solid. But so much air pressure shoots through it, we're gonna have like a snow substance. So let's open it up here. Let's see. It might be a little loud. There we go. And then we turned it into this really cool snow. So those are some fun experiments we can do with dry ice. And in just a minute here, we'll look at one we can do at home.
Alright, so in a different video, you saw a really cool experiment making snow out of dry ice. And now we're going to show you an experiment you can do at home with just a couple ingredients. Now, if you're from the Akron area, we get our dry ice from a place called Serve Ice. If you're not from the Akron area, just Google local ice places around you and you can probably find somewhere to give you some dry ice. It's pretty affordable, and this experiment is something anyone can do if you have dry ice and just a little bit of fruit. So one of the most popular places you've probably seen CO2 would be soda, right? That's what gives it that fizziness. That's carbonation. So what we're gonna do today is we're actually gonna put that CO2 into fruit and make carbonated fizzy fruit. It's a super simple experiment. All you need is a plastic dish, just like this, some dry ice, and the fruit of your choice. So you're just gonna take some dry ice, dump it into a bowl here, and you wanna create a nice layer across the whole bottom of your dish. Next, you're gonna take some fruit, and you wanna lay it right on top of that ice. If you cut up the fruit, it helps get that CO2 into it, gives it a little more surface area. So if you want fizzier fruit, cut it into thinner, smaller slices. I'm gonna add some grapes in here, and some oranges. Now there are some ways to do this in a closed container. You can use a pop bottle or a small foam cooler. You have to be really careful with that because if it builds up too much pressure, it can explode. So that works great if you have experience with it. If you're new to using dry ice, I'd recommend using a bowl. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna leave it like this. Now, as the CO2 is subliming, as it's turning from its solid into its gas form, that CO2 is going to go through and infuse our fruit with that gas, exactly what's happening in your soda. So as it's freezing, it's going to be putting those gas bubbles into our fruit, And you wanna let that sit for about 10 to 20 minutes. Once your fruit is frozen, you can take a bite and you will have some fizzy fruit, a cool snack you can have at home.